Good morning, friends. I am Digvijay Dadasaheb Dhere, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Rajri Chhatrapati Shahu College, Kolhapur. Today we have to study Elizabethan drama in English literature. So, what is Elizabethan drama? Uh, we have to know the history of England, especially in the 16th century, where Elizabethan reigned all over the England. The Italian Renaissance had rediscovered the ancient Greek and Roman theatre. This revival of interest was instrumental in the development of the new drama. The Greek and Roman theatre plays an important part in the beginning of the Elizabethan drama, which was then beginning to make apart from the old mystery and miracle plays of the Middle Ages. The Italians were inspired by Seneca, a major tragic playwright and philosopher, the tutor of Nero, and by Plautus, whose comic cliches, especially that of boasting soldier, had a powerful influence during the Renaissance and thereafter. However, the Italian tragedies embraced a principle contrary to Seneca's ethics, showing blood and violence on the stage. In Seneca's plays, such scenes were only acted by the characters. In the earlier Elizabethan drama, we find out the most of the plays are tragedies one, especially Seneca's tragedy, where we got the theme blood and violence. During the reign of Elizabeth 1558 to 1603 and then James 1603 to 1625, in the late 16th and early 17th centuries, a London centered culture that was both courtly and popular produced a great poetry and drama. In the 16th century and 17th century, we got the flourish of the drama, where most of the writer focused on that form, poetry and drama. Uh, and in Elizabethan period, drama get much popularity. The English playwrights were intrigued by the Italian model. A conspicuous community of Italian actors had settled in London. The English writer influenced by the Italian masterpiece, Italian works and writers. The linguist and lexicographer John Florio, 1553 to 1625, whose father was Italian, was a royal language tutor at the court of James I and a possible friend and influence on William Shakespeare, had brought much of the Italian language and culture to England. William Shakespeare also influenced by the Italian work. He was also the translator of Montaigne into English. The earliest Elizabethan plays include Gorboduc 1561 by Sackville and Norton and Thomas Kit's 1558-94, Revenge Strategy, The Spanish Tragedy 1592, that is earlier work in the Elizabethan period. Highly popular and influential in its time, the Spanish tragedy established a new genre in English literature theatre, the revenge play or revenge tragedy. Its plot contains several violent murders and include as one of its character a personification of revenge. The earlier tragedy, which is basically known as revenge tragedies. The Spanish tragedy was often referred to or parodied in works written by other Elizabethan playwrights, including William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, and Christopher Marlowe. Many elements of the Spanish tragedy, such as the play within a play used to trap a murderer and a ghost intent on vengeance, appear in Shakespeare's Hamlet. Thomas Keats is frequently proposed as the author of the hypothetical Your Hamlet that may have been one of Shakespeare's primary sources for Hamlet. Jane Lumley 1537 to 1578 was the first person to translate Euripides into English. Her translation of Iphigenia at Aulis is the first known dramatic work by women in English. William Shakespeare is a popular playwright in the Elizabethan period, uh, whose lifespan was 1564 to 1616. Stands out in this period both as a poet and playwright. Shakespeare wrote plays in a variety of genres, including histories, tragedies, comedies, and late romances or tragicomedies. His early classical and Italianate comedies, like A Comedy of Errors containing tight double plots and precise comic sequences, give way in the mid 1590s to the romantic atmosphere of his greatest comedies. A Midsummer Night's Dream, Much Ado About Nothing, As You Like It, and Twelfth Night. After the lyrical Richard II, written almost entirely in verse, Shakespeare introduced the prose comedy into the history of the late 1590s. Henry IV, Part 1 and 2, Henry V. This period begins ends with two tragedies, Romeo and Juliet and Julius Caesar, based on Sir Thomas North's 1579 translation of Plutarch's Parallel Lives, which introduced a new kind of drama. Shakespeare's career continued into the Jacobean period, and in the early 17th century, Shakespeare wrote the so-called problem plays, Measure for Measure, Troilus and Cressida, and All's Well That Ends Well, as well as number of his best-known tragedies, including Hamlet, Othello, Macbeth, King Lear, and Antony and Cleopatra. The plots of Shakespeare's tragedies often hing on such fatal errors or flaws which overturn order and destroy the hero and thus he loves. In his final period, Shakespeare turned to romance or tragicomedy and completed three more major plays, Cymbeline, The Winter's Tale, and The Tempest, as well as the collaboration, Pericles, Prince of Tyres. Less bleak than the tragedies, these four plays are graver in tone than the comedies of the 1590s, but they end with reconciliation and the forgiveness of potentially tragic errors. Shakespeare collaborated on two further surviving plays, Henry's VIII and The Two Noble Kinsmen, probably with John Fletcher. In his lifespan, Shakespeare wrote 37 plays and 154 sonnets, which is always remembered for the audience as a masterpiece. I think that you got the basic uh, themes or the writers about Elizabethan drama, which played an important role in the English literature. Uh, you can understand. I hope that you will better write on it when you understand the basic things uh, in the English literature. Thank you so much.